For anyone who's new and joining me today, my name is Alicia. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm practicing with you today on the native lands of the Tunaka, Spokane, and Shuswap tribes, now known as Spokane, Washington. I always like to acknowledge at the beginning of class that the practice of yoga originated thousands of years ago in ancient India and has been passed down from teacher to student. So I'm thankful to my teachers who shared their knowledge with me so that I can be here to hold space for you as you're exploring your own yoga practice. And anything that I offer during our time together are simply invitations, but I encourage you to tune into your own bodily wisdom, your own inner teacher, and let that guide you. You are definitely the expert on your body, breath, and mind. And I want you to feel comfortable taking the driver's seat. So please adapt anything to make it feel better in your body. So let's start to make our way onto our back. You can move your blocks off to the side for now. You might like to take one of your blankets and make a pillow for below your head. You can keep your strap within arm's reach. Maybe just prop your bolster off to the side. And if you're sitting up on a blanket, you can move that off to the side as well. So you can slowly lower yourself down onto your back. And let's start with the feet about mat width distance apart. And you can let your knees start to fall in towards each other. You might like to press into the feet, press the skin of the hips down towards the feet, and then maybe even take the fingertips behind the back of the head, lift the head, give the chin a little tuck, and then lay the head back down, getting a little extension through the back of the neck. And then hands can come wherever would feel good here. Maybe resting on your belly, maybe out to the sides, palms facing up. And the intention I want to invite in for today is, may I feel my connection to the earth. So in a moment here, I'm going to invite the bell to drop us into our centering. Then we'll transition to some gentle movements on our back. We'll make our way to hands and knees. Then we'll come back down to the floor to do some work on our belly. And then we'll finish up with a shavasana, or integration and relaxation time, which you can take also on your back if that's comfortable. So as you feel ready, you can choose to either close the eyes or soften the gaze down. And I'll invite the bell to drop us in. So as we're coming into our practice space, you might like to take a moment to acknowledge the presence of everyone who's here with you. We've all chosen to take the same time out of our day, coming back to ourselves and our practice. And with all of the classes that I've been teaching, my wish is that this can be a place of safety and rest, and an area where you can cultivate a little more resilience in your life so that you can deal with other areas of your life in a more present way, maybe with a little more compassion, And you might let a small smile start to upturn the corners of the mouth as you think about everyone who's here practicing with you today. And then just notice how that smile feels. And then returning to our original intention of feeling our connection to the earth. Start to notice where you're in contact with the floor. You may notice the entire back body and the pressure of the floor beneath you, the support there. You might feel the floor beneath your feet. Taking some time to feel that connection, that rootedness. And from that place of grounding, you can open your awareness a little bit broader to any other sensations that are coming up in the body. And we're simply settling back and coming at this from more of an observing, more of a witnessing. There's no need to judge any of these sensations or categorize them as good or bad. See if you can open to letting these sensations be just as they are, without trying to push any of them away, or without trying to grasp on to any of them. Recognize them for the sensations that they are. And as you've started to tap in more to these sensations of the body, you might have started to notice the sensations of the body breathing. If they aren't already, you might choose to rest the hands, the fingertips on the belly, but keep your arms soft. So I'm keeping the entire upper arm on the floor. And for me, since I'm thicker through the middle, that's going to mean just my fingertips are resting on my belly. Starting to tune into the natural rhythm of the breath. And notice how the movement of the breath in the body might change just subtly where you're in contact with the floor. You might feel differences in your lower back or your hips. And you can also encourage your belly, heart, throat, jaw, and tongue to be soft. Maybe inviting in a little bit more ease for the path of the breath in and out through the nostrils. And allowing the belly to expand into your fingertips or your hand on the inhale. And then allow the belly to be soft and heavy and relax back towards your spine, back towards the earth on the exhale. Letting your breath be as it is in this moment. You don't have to try to change it. Just be aware of it. And as you start to quiet the body, there may be different thoughts or emotions that come up, pop into your awareness. And opening to them just as you did with the sensations. We don't need to try to push any of them away or grasp onto any of them. Just allow them to arise and change and maybe dissolve in their own time. Then from that place of inner wisdom and inner knowing, you can ask yourself, what do you feel like you might need from this practice today? Just be open to receiving any answer or no answer. And then you can let that awareness broaden out now, encompassing the whole body, breath, spirit. Letting the awareness be open to anything that's happening in this present moment. Just allowing all of it to be. Let's take 3 full breaths together. Inhaling through the nose, and on the exhale, pursing the lips together as if you're blowing out through a straw. Letting the exhale be long and slow and smooth. Allowing the belly to relax all the way, getting all the air out. And then see if the next inhale will rise a bit more naturally and on its own. So let's give it a try. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale slowly through the straw. Feeling that connection to the earth on the exhale. And after your third exhale, whenever it comes, you can allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm, which may or may not be different than the beginning of your practice. But settle back into that observation mode. Without assigning any judgment. When you're ready, you can open the eyes if they were closed, and then start to reconnect to your space. Moving the eyes around, maybe the head and neck, taking in color, shape, texture. And you might choose to extend the arms out into a T. And then let's start some gentle movement with the neck. So let's inhale, turning the head to look towards the right. And then on the exhale, all the way across, turning the head towards the left. Inhale, turning back towards the right. And exhale, turning towards the left. So you can continue here at your own pace, allowing the pace of your breath to guide the pace of your movement. If you want to take it a little bit slower, you can always stop in the center, reset your breath. All of this is completely up to you. But as you're moving here, notice how the connection of your body to the earth is changing. There's a lot of richness in just noticing some of these subtle movements. It gives the mind something to do, something to explore. When you start to feel even both directions, let's meet with the head back in center, and then take the arms up so the hands are gripping the opposite elbows. So your forearms will kind of be towards the sky. Arms bent at the elbows, hands gently gripping the opposite elbow. We'll inhale in center, and then exhale. Start to let the arms drop towards the right. You may peel the left shoulder a little bit off the ground. Inhale back to center. Exhale, dropping the arms over towards the right. Now this is a very subtle movement likely. So don't feel like you have to peel your whole shoulder off of the ground. See if you can settle into that subtlety so that you're still mostly in contact with the earth, but you're just starting to get a little rotation into the spine. So syncing your movement with the pace of your breath here. You can choose to let your gaze go along for the ride, or maybe you keep it up towards the ceiling. Let's go ahead and do one more each side. It's your choice how far you're going to each side. When you come back through center, let's give the arms a little shake, maybe bring them back out to the T. And then bring your feet so they're flat on the floor now. If your knees were falling in towards each other, bring them so they're more pointing straight up. And then we'll inhale and center, exhale, let the knees start to drop towards the right. Now it's up to you how close you like your feet together. I'm starting with my feet about mat width distance apart. Inhale, center. Exhale, knees drop towards the left. If you like to have your feet and your knees closer together, you're welcome to give that a try. But please work at your own pace here. You're always welcome to stay more than one breath cycle on a side. Now that we're moving the lower part of the body, how is this changing your connection to the earth? You may or may not be peeling one hip a little bit off the floor. You don't need to come off too much. It's kind of the same as with the shoulder blades. It may just start to come up. Let's finish up here with one more each direction. And we'll meet back at center. You might want to start to walk your feet in a little bit closer towards your hips. Have your bolster within arm's reach. We might be using it here in a moment. Let's lift the right foot off the floor. Right knee is bent. And then bring the right ankle up over the left knee onto the left thigh. So kind of a figure four shape here. Let's roll the right ankle one direction. And other direction. You can point and flex the foot. Maybe bringing in a couple of toe curls if that feels good for your foot. And then grabbing for your bolster, go ahead and bring the bolster onto your left side. So kind of try to show you here. Have your bolster down below your hips. So we'll inhale here in center, and on the exhale, start to let both knees drop towards the left so that your left foot is heading in the direction of your bolster. Now, depending on the type of bolster you have, if you have a rectangular one, you can adjust the heights. Flat down like this would maybe be your lowest height. And you can also turn it on its side if you'd like some more height. But where we're going here is giving the foot and also the bottom, the left knee, some support for our twist. If this isn't enough height, you can always stuff that extra blanket under there, but we're looking to support this twist. So once you get to where you're going, let's take 3 full breaths here in a supportive twist. And we'll inhale, unwind back to center. Then bring both feet to the floor. Maybe shaking the legs out a bit, moving the knees in and out, just getting a few wiggles out. And then let's bring our bolster over to the right side so it'll be ready. So now bringing the left leg up, crossing the left ankle over the right knee and thigh. Let's roll out the left ankle one direction. Other direction. Point and flex the foot. Maybe curl the toes a couple times. And then we'll inhale, center, and on the exhale, allow both knees to drop towards the right. So adjusting your bolster so it can support that bottom right leg and foot. This side, I think I'm going to adjust my bolster up a little bit higher. You may find that you turn to one side more than the other. So adjust your props as necessary to offer some support so that you can relax into your twist. And then let's do 3 breaths on this side. Let's inhale to unwind back to center. And then bring both feet down to the ground again. You can set your bolster off to the side for now. And then go ahead and grab your strap. You can open the strap up. And then let's take the strap around the ball of the right foot, extending the right leg towards the sky, flexing the toes gently back towards your nose. And you can start with one end of the strap in each hand. Let's play with rocking the ankle side to side. And if there's a little bit of bend in your knee, if your leg's down here, don't worry about any of it. Come to a place that is feeling comfortable for you. So we're exploring through the ankle and the foot here, using the strap for support. You can play with how much your leg is coming towards your face or towards the floor. So we're just kind of exploring here, moving the leg in space. Let's go ahead and switch both sides of the strap to the right hand. And then you might have your left hand out in that T shape to give you some anchor on this side. Start to let your right leg open out towards the right. And go ahead and stop when you start to feel, or right before you start to feel that left hip come off the floor. And then once you're there, let's bring the right leg back up towards the midline. And then you can switch the strap to the left hand and then allow that right leg to just start to cross the midline. Likely that will be just a little bit past center towards the left side. And then bring the right leg back through center, taking both ends of the strap, one in each hand. With the foot flexed, let's start to lower the right heel, working the right leg towards straight, lowering that right leg and heel all the way down to the floor. Keeping the left knee bent, left foot flat on the floor. Once your heel touches down, take a few breaths to notice how that's feeling. Notice now where you're in contact with the earth. And you may choose to bounce the foot a little bit. Push down through the ball of the foot, or I should say push the ball of the foot towards the wall that's down towards your feet, so that your whole body has a little bounce up and down on the floor. You might not see it very much on me, but if you try it, you'll probably feel it. So feel how you're moving, kind of bouncing, moving up towards the head and then down. And then go ahead and bend back into that right knee. Bring the right foot flat to the floor and switch the strap to the ball of the left foot. So now extending the left foot towards the sky. One end of the strap in each hand. Let's play with tilting the ankle side to side. Very subtle movements here. Moving the leg in space towards your head and away. There's no right or wrong here. We're just exploring these different sensations in the leg and ankle and foot. Let's transfer both sides of the strap to the left hand. Then allow the left leg to start to open out to the side towards the left. Keeping the right foot flat on the floor. Right before your right hip starts to come off the floor, you can bring the left leg back up towards center. Then transferring the strap, both ends of the strap to the right hand, allow the left leg just to start to cross the midline just a bit towards the right. And checking in here, what are your shoulders doing? Can you relax them down any amount more? How about your jaw and tongue? And we'll come back through center. And one end of the strap in each hand. Let's start to lower that left leg down, foot flexed, so heel is coming down first. When the heel touches down, take stock again. Where are you in contact with the earth? What are the sensations feeling like? And then if you liked that little bounce that we did on the right side, you can play with doing that on the left. So you can just let your strap be loose. It's not really doing anything at this point. And just bounce the ball of the foot up and down on the left. Kind of gives a bit of a rocking feeling against the floor. And then we'll bring both feet back to the floor. And then we'll start to make our way towards seated. So you can roll onto one side using the bottom arm and elbow as a pillow. And then when you're ready, you can press into that bottom elbow and arm, top hand, and bring you back up. You might want to grab that blanket you had under your head. I like to sit up on a blanket. Sometimes even a bolster, but for this, I'm going to choose just one blanket. And go ahead and get both of your blocks too, so they're within reach. You can just put one on each side for now. Let's take the legs wide. So I'm coming to sit towards the front of my blanket so that my hips are up on the blanket, but the rest of my legs are down on the floor. You can have your feet gently flexed back. You might even, with the feet flexed, you can play with rolling the legs in and out. Keeping the feet flexed lets that movement come all the way into the hip. And then let's take a block in each hand. I'm going to choose to have my blocks on the highest height, depending how much you've worked with blocks before. We've got 3 heights. You have flat on the ground would be your lowest height. Then you can dial it up once to medium or dial it all the way up to the highest height. So I'm going to frame up my left leg. So 1 block on each side. You can start to turn the torso towards the leg. Inhale, allow the spine to lengthen. And then on the exhale, start to hinge forward towards that left leg. You can walk the blocks along using the blocks for support under your hands. If your kneecap is gripping, where you can feel your muscles gripping up tight in the thigh, see if you can allow that kneecap to relax. Once you get to where you're going, you can stay up like this, or if it's available, you can always start to lower onto forearms. You might even let the head and neck release down. So now that we've come up to seated, feeling where we're in contact with the floor, with the earth. If you had your head and neck released down, you can bring them back into line with the rest of your spine. Lengthen the spine and come on back up. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So inhale, lengthen, turning the torso towards the right leg. Exhale, hinging forward. Let's start with the spine long, walking the blocks down the leg any amount, or maybe hardly at all. And from one side to the other, you may have a completely different experience. So you may be up high here. You may choose to come down to forearms. Maybe letting the head and neck release down once you get to where you're going. Let's take a few breaths on this side. If you release the head and neck down, go ahead and bring it back into line with the rest of your spine. Lengthen the spine and come on up. You can just move your blocks to the center. We don't need them right this minute. So let's inhale both arms up, any height that is good for your shoulders. And on the exhale, let's take the left hand to the floor, maybe fingertips. If your hand's not reaching the floor, it's a good time to bring in one of your blocks. If your hand reaches the floor, you can put the fingertips down, right arm up, and then reach the right arm over. You can walk your left hand along the floor any amount. We're looking for some lengthening in the right side body. Gaze can be straight ahead, maybe down towards the floor, up towards your outstretched arm. Let's take 3 breaths here. Softening the bottom shoulder and even softening the top shoulder a bit. Let's press into the bottom hand to come back up. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale the right hand down. Reach up and over with the left arm, and then walk that right hand out any amount. And let's take 3 full breaths on this side. And press into the bottom hand, both arms up. Reach both of the fingertips up and out and around. Let's give the arms a shake. Let's get some movement into the wrists. If this wide-legged stance is getting to be a little too much, you can bring the legs straight in front of you. You might like a little support under the backs of your knees. So let's roll the wrists one direction, other direction. Flex and extend the wrists. Let's move the fingers. And then let's give the wrist a gentle shake in different directions. Kind of rotate your arms to get into some of the different areas of the wrist. And you can bring your blocks onto your right side. Let's start with them on the medium height. Have your bolster nearby, and then we're going to make our way to hands and knees. So you can shift your weight onto one hip and then press up. You might choose to have 1 or 2 blankets under your knees for support. So you can open your blanket up a bit wider, maybe even 2 blankets if you want to make it extra luxurious. And then let's come to hands and knees and have our blocks under our hands. So I'm going to show you a few options here. First off, we're going to be doing some stuff on the hands and knees. If putting weight on your wrists like this on blocks doesn't work for you, there are a few options. If you do want to have your hands down, but maybe you're going for hands on the mat, you can take one of your extra blankets and you can bring the palms, right where your palm is meeting your wrist, right about in that area maybe, and then up to the where the fingers meet the rest of the hand. You can put your wrists and bottom of your palm up onto the blanket. That decreases instead of your angle of your wrist being like this, it'll be more like this. So that's an option for sensitive wrists. Give you another option here if you just want to avoid the wrists altogether. Grab your bolster, put the bolster down in front of you, and come down to forearms. You can rest one hand inside the other, and then roughly have your elbows under your shoulders. So you can work from right here too. For whatever I'm going to show you, this is a viable option. So come into whatever's feeling best for you. I'm choosing blocks on medium height, and I'm also gripping gently around the block. You're also welcome to have the block on its lowest height and put your hands here. But I like to add a little bit of height to my table position and my cat and cow. It helps me take a little bit of the weight out of my wrists and hands, gives me more space in the belly area. So coming into your table position, you'll have your wrists, elbows tracking roughly below the shoulders. The knees are tracking roughly under the hips. So with your next inhale, allow the belly to fall towards the floor as you're lowering the belly down, lifting the chest, maybe lifting the gaze a bit. And then on your exhale, start to press the belly up, reaching the shoulder blades up towards the sky, tucking the chin. So this is our cow here. Let the belly drop. Inhale, shoulders compress gently back towards the hips. You're kind of arching the back down. Exhale to the cat, tucking the chin, pressing up through the shoulder blades, pulling the belly up and in towards the spine. So continue to move here at your own pace. Whatever the pace of your breath can be the pace of your movement. You can also choose how much weight you're putting in your hands. You can always shift a little bit more of the weight back into the hips. And then feel free to let your cat-cow get more organic. Maybe you choose to take it to one side and then the other, letting one ear come towards one hip. You can also move the torso around like you're scooping out a peanut butter jar with your back and your belly, like you're a spatula. Feel free to get creative with it. And once you start to feel even both sides, let's set our blocks off to the side, grab the bolster. Depending on the height of your bolster, you might choose to have it flat. If you have a rectangle, you can bring it up high. We're going into a supported child's pose. So another option here, if you want to have it up high, you can put your bolster onto the blocks. So take your knees wide, make room for the belly, and then we're coming forward onto our bolster. So bringing the chest onto the bolster at whatever height you've chosen. If you're up like mine, you can thread your arms down and through. Sorry, I'm probably covering my microphone here. You can have your arms out in front, and then you can release the head down to the bolster. So take a few breaths, take some rest. Notice where you're in contact with the earth. Feel that connection. You can switch your head to the other side. And when you're ready, you can bring both palms to the earth, press up, release your bolster off to the side, move your blocks off to the side. And then if you have 2 blankets underneath of you, you might choose to take it just down to 1 or none. But lower yourself onto your belly. And then onto your forearms. So you can uncurl the toes so the tops of the feet are flat on the mat. Elbows are roughly below the shoulders. You can feel the length between your hips and all the way out through the top of your head. And then your hips all the way out through the toes. Gently pressing down through the forearms and the palms of the hands. Maybe noticing the shoulders can press down towards the hips. Let's take 5 full breaths here. Check in with your bum and the backs of your legs, your kneecaps. See if you can let any tension go there. And after your fifth exhale, whenever it comes, you can lower the head and neck down. Bring your forehead to the backs of your hands. You can choose to curl the toes under, maybe windshield wipering the heels side to side. You can stay down low like this with your toes in contact with the earth, or you might choose to bend the knees still with the feet flexed. Then let the feet drop side to side. We're just looking to shake out the lower back. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way towards our Shavasana. So you might like to get set up with a blanket under your head. You're welcome to take your Shavasana in any way that you like. If you already have a way that you like to do it, feel free. I'm going to show you a couple options. It is not comfortable for me to normally lay flat on my back with my legs flat out. I like to either bend my knees, like we did at the beginning of class, or take your bolster underneath the backs of your knees and then slowly lower down. You can scoot your bolster in. I'll show you another option here. We're running a little short on time, but I'd like to give you a couple options for the Shavasana. You can also make kind of a structure here with your blocks on the highest height, or even the medium height, and then you can stack your bolster on top of it. This is a little bit more precarious, so you'll probably have to take your time getting adjusted. But if you like the feeling of having a little more elevation through the feet, this is a good option too. So go ahead and start to get situated. You can even take your extra blanket. You could open it up for warmth. You might like to lift the hips, press the skin of the hips down towards the feet, fingertips to the back of the head, lift the head up, tuck the chin, and then lower the head back down. You can close the eyes or soften the gaze. Dropping back in to our original intention of feeling our connection to the earth. Start to notice the rhythm of the breath in this moment, which may or may not be different from when you started class. But again, open to letting it be what it is. You can encourage the belly, heart, throat, jaw, and tongue to be soft. And effort to lend a little bit more ease for the path of the breath in and out through the nostrils. Feeling into the feet, ankles, lower legs, knees, upper legs and hips. Making any adjustments to this bottom part of the body to add to your ease and comfort. And then let the lower part of the body be soft and heavy. And settle into stillness. Coming up through the hips, the back body, lower back, middle back, upper back, front of the body, the belly, chest, top of the shoulders, upper arms, elbows, lower arms, wrists and hands. Making any adjustments to this middle part of the body to add to your ease and comfort. And then allow the middle part of the body to be soft and heavy and settle into stillness. Coming up into the neck, jaw, cheeks, eyes, ears, back of the head, forehead, and top of the head. Making any adjustments to the head and neck to add to your ease and comfort. And then let the head and neck be soft and heavy and settle into stillness. You can start to bring some small movements back into the body. Maybe starting with the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. And taking your time as you wake the body up, letting those small movements turn into a little bit bigger movements. And then eventually making your way onto one side. Taking a couple breaths there. And pressing in to both arms to make your way back up to seated. If you'd like to join me to close, you can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. This closing I'm going to offer is from one of my teachers, Anna Guest Jelly of Curvy Yoga. May I greet my body with gentleness. May I soften when life invites me to harden. May I listen to my intuition with wisdom and trust it with ease. And may I appreciate my body a little more in this moment, just as it is. And then we can press the hands together in front of the heart. Let's take one breath together. We'll inhale and exhale. Thank you so much for choosing to share your time and your practice with me today.